Hey guys, this is Abhishek from gadgetjuice.com, and today we are going to do a quick hands-on comparison of these two phones which are competing with each other at the same price segment or almost at the same price segment. We have the Canvas Turbo Mini and we have Motorola Moto G. Both of these devices are available in the market as of now, and they are available for a price of approximately 12 to 14,000 rupees. This one is available for a price of 12,000 rupees approximately, whereas this version which we have of Motorola G is the 8GB version, and this one is available for a price of 12,500 rupees on Flipkart. And again, both of these devices has hardware which is good enough to use them for years. So that means if you buy Moto G or if you buy Canvas Turbo Mini, both of these devices will last for like approximately minimum 2 years from the date you purchase, provided you use the phone properly. And again, when I say use the phone properly, that means you have to actually make sure that you do not load up the phone with a lot of apps and a lot of games, which actually makes almost all the Android phones slow. So in order to optimize your phone, you make sure you install some softwares like Clean Master and some others, which actually allows you to give a boost over the RAM whenever some heavy applications are running in the background, or you do certain things to actually make your phone faster, like installing custom launchers in case you are facing any issues with the kind of launcher or with the kind of UI which you have on any of these two phones. And again, both of these phones has kind of a positive feedback from the users. So again, we are going to compare both of them, and we are going to compare both of them in terms of the kind of display they have, the kind of camera they have, what kind of form factor they have, the size comparison, the weight, everything we will compare in this video. Now, starting with the comparison, first of all, we will take a look over the physical form factor of both of these phones. Now, if we hold the Motorola Moto G in one hand, it is equally good to hold in one hand, and you can use this phone without any issues as all the parts of the screen are reachable with one hand. So this is a pretty good one-handed usage phone which you can use. And again, in terms of the weight as well, it is not very heavy. Again, we will tell you the comparison, how is the weight on both of these devices, but first of all, let's talk about the form factor. So the form factor on this phone is pretty good. It is a one-handed usage phone, pretty good to hold in one hand. And again, the back cover on this phone is rubberized matte finish back cover, which gives you pretty good grip when you hold this device in hand, and it won't slip out of your hand because of this kind of a back cover which we have on the phone. Again, you do have the option of installing other back covers as well. If you buy them from the market or from the Flipkart, you can actually change the color of the Motorola Moto G, at least from the back side. However, on all the colors of the Motorola Moto G, the front will have a black bezel and the display, and the edge or this part, basically the grill, actually will remain black with chrome finishing. Again, shiny finishing, you can say, or glossy finish. And again, on the Canvas Turbo Mini is a kind of a device which looks like a decent device, which looks like a premium device in terms of the overall look and feel. It looks pretty good in terms of the kind of material which has been used on this phone. It looks kind of a premium phone. However, when it comes to the back side, we have metal over here, this part, and this looks like metal. Again, I cannot confirm whether it is metal or not. It may be good quality plastic. And again, when we have this part and this part, these two parts are again plastic. So again, entire phone is actually plastic almost on this phone as far as back side is concerned. But again, when it comes to the back cover on the Canvas Turbo Mini, it cannot be removed. So back cover cannot be removed and the battery cannot come out. But the upper part of the phone, when we take a look, this part can come out, and this will hold the secondary SIM card and the micro SD memory card to expand the storage of the device. So you have the micro SD memory card and dual SIM functionality, the secondary SIM card slot on the Canvas Turbo Mini, whereas on Motorola Moto G, the back cover can be removed. Unlike the Canvas Turbo Mini, this phone actually allows you to remove the back cover. And once you remove the back cover, in order to remove the back cover, make sure you lift the back cover from the micro USB part. And once you lift it, it will give you the space to lift it further, and then you can insert your fingernail or anything which you can insert over here, any kind of pointed object. And then this is how you can actually remove the back cover on this phone. And again, once we take a look over the back cover on Motorola Moto G can be removed, but the battery cannot come out, just like this one. So in all, I would like to say that battery cannot be removed from any of these two phones, which is again maybe a good thing for some people and maybe a bad thing. On this one, if the battery cannot be removed, the phone is really slim. So I would say this is an added advantage on the Canvas Turbo Mini, that the battery cannot be removed, which actually makes this device kind of a slim as compared to the Motorola Moto G, which is definitely thicker device as compared to the Canvas Turbo Mini. Motorola Moto G on the other hand has a battery which cannot be removed. Again, I don't know whether why they have not actually allowed the users to remove the battery, but there must be some reason, we will tell you later. But when it comes to the removable battery, you do not have removable battery on this phone. And again, this phone becomes kind of thick in terms of the comparison with the Canvas Turbo Mini. And even if we put the back cover on back, we can see that the device becomes much more thicker as compared to the Canvas Turbo Mini in terms of the overall thickness. So in thickness department, Canvas Turbo Mini is good, and in weight department as well, the Canvas Turbo Mini is much lighter as compared to the Motorola Moto G. We do not have the exact figures for weight of these two phones, but again, the Canvas Turbo Mini is approximately 110 gram, and this one is especially I think much above 110 gram. That is something which you can say, and you can easily feel the weight of the Motorola Moto G, which is heavier than the Canvas Turbo Mini, and this is a very obvious thing which you can easily find out. As far as the slots for the SIM card and connectivity is concerned, Motorola Moto G is also a dual SIM phone, just like the Canvas Turbo Mini, and Motorola Moto G has the SIM card 2 slot over here, which will accept a micro SIM, whereas on the Canvas Turbo Mini you can actually insert a full size SIM card. And here we have the SIM card 1 slot. The SIM card 1 slot is over here, SIM card 2 slot is over here. And one thing which is lacking on the Motorola Moto G as compared to Canvas Turbo Mini is that this one does not have the option of expanding the storage. The Canvas Turbo Mini has a micro SD memory card slot over here, as you can see, where you can insert a micro SD memory card and expand the storage of the device, whereas on this device you do not have this option. So you cannot expand the storage of the device. The storage will be limited once you buy this phone, and you have to live up with that particular kind of storage which you have on this phone. So on this one basically, because micro SD memory card slot is missing on this device. As far as the camera is concerned, let's talk about the rear camera. The rear camera which we have on the Canvas Turbo Mini is 8 megapixel. It is an autofocus camera, can record high definition video as well at 720p, and again we are not sure whether it can record 1080p videos, but I think it should be able to record video at 1080p as well. We will confirm that later on. Then when we talk about the Motorola Moto G, this device has a 5 megapixel camera at the back, unlike the 8 megapixel camera which is higher in this case. And the 5 megapixel camera over here is also support autofocus, and it can also record high definition video at 720p. Now if we talk about the loudspeaker is placed on the Canvas Turbo Mini over here at the bottom, whereas on the Motorola Moto G it is actually at the top on the left side of the camera. And again, the kind of loud or the loudness of the sound which comes out from these two devices, this device is slightly louder as compared to the Motorola Moto G in terms of the volume of sound which can come out from these two devices. If we take a look over these two devices from the side profile, we can see the ports and connectivity, and here we have the buttons on both of these phones. As far as these buttons are concerned, these buttons are actually kind of metal buttons, so they give you good amount of feedback and they have a pretty good feel to it, but they have some kind of a play to it. They are not very tightly fit buttons, I would say. When it comes to the Motorola Moto G, these buttons also have some kind of a play, and these buttons are finished with chrome, and these are plastic buttons. They also give you good amount of feedback. On the top, if we take a look, we have the micro USB port for data syncing and charging on the Canvas Turbo Mini, and we have the 3.5mm audio jack over here, whereas on the Motorola Moto G we have a 3.5mm audio jack, and we have a secondary mic for noise cancellation and video chat, whereas we are not able to locate any secondary mic on the Canvas Turbo Mini. And again, this will affect the overall voice clarity at times whenever you are doing voice calls in noisy environment. This device will give you a better clarity when it comes to the kind of sound which you will broadcast from the microphone over there, because the noise cancellation will not work in that case, and also it will help you do a better video chat in case of noisy scenarios. And again, on this side, if we take a look, we have the tray for the SIM card, so you can insert a micro SIM into this device over here, and the second SIM card will go over here. The first tray will accept a micro SIM, whereas that one will accept a normal size SIM card. So this is the difference which we have. And again, if we take a look over the Motorola Moto G, on this side we have nothing, and you can easily notice that the Motorola Moto G is slightly thicker as compared to the Canvas Turbo Mini. At the bottom, if you take a look on both of these two phones, we have the primary microphone on the Canvas Turbo Mini, and we have a primary microphone on the Motorola Moto G as well. And micro USB port in case of Motorola Moto G is actually at the bottom, unlike the top position on the Canvas Turbo Mini. Now if we take a look over these two phones from the front side has the metallic earpiece over here behind the glass, and over here we have the metallic earpiece as well. This device has a LED notification light. When it comes to charging, it will light up. When it comes to missed call and other alerts, it will light up, whereas we do not have any LED notification on the Motorola Moto G. And when it comes to the front camera on these two devices, the front camera on the Motorola Moto G is a fixed focus camera, and it is a 1.3 megapixel camera, whereas on the Canvas Turbo Mini the front camera is a 5 megapixel camera. So in this case the front camera over here is actually better. As far as proximity and ambient light sensors are concerned, you do have proximity and ambient light sensors over here on the Motorola Moto G. I don't know whether you can see them, but you do have them on this device, and on this device as well you have the proximity and ambient light sensors both. Now when it comes to the bottom part on the front, we have the touch capacitive buttons which are there within the display of the phone on the Motorola Moto G. So the bezel is actually wasted, and these touch capacitive buttons will definitely take some part of the screen resolution at times, and again you will have problems in some of the applications on this phone in having a full screen browsing experience or full screen experience in terms of gaming as well sometimes. When it comes to the Canvas Turbo Mini, we have the touch capacitive buttons which are there adding the body of the phone on the front bezel, and again the Canvas Turbo Mini has white bezel on the white variant, whereas the black version has a black bezel, whereas on the Motorola Moto G you have the black bezel in all the colors. And again this device actually comes in black color only, and the only thing which can be changed on the Motorola Moto G as far as colors is concerned is that you can actually change the back cover on the Motorola Moto G, which by default will come as black. You can change it with different other colors. You can actually buy additional back covers for the Motorola Moto G or back shelves, which you can buy and replace this one with, and then you have a colorful profile on the Motorola Moto G. So again, in terms of the color comparison as well, this device looks better from the front as well as from the back side. It gives you a very premium kind of a metal finish, and again the kind of build quality which we have on this one and which we have on this one, we have a pretty good build quality on the Motorola Moto G. It is quite sturdy phone, and it will not also break even when you have dropped it accidentally from waist height, and this one as well is actually pretty good. In terms of the build quality, this device is also pretty good, and this one will also keep working in case you accidentally drop it for once from the waist height. But again, if you do it multiple times or if you deliberately do it, then this device will not have that kind of a build quality as compared to this one, because I have actually done a kind of a drop test as well on both of these phones, a kind of a mild drop test, and that is why I'm saying all this. Now talking about the processor configuration or the system on chip, we have the MediaTek 6582 chipset on this device, which is a 1.3 GHz quad-core chipset. And when it comes to this device has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 chipset, which is also a quad-core processor chipset, and this device has 1.2 GHz Cortex A7 processor, whereas this one has 1.3 GHz Cortex A7 based processor. This one has 1.2 GHz, so 1.2 GHz quad-core plus versus 1.3 GHz quad-core, so it is approximately the same. The kind of overall performance both of these devices have in day-to-day usage, both of them are fast enough, both of them are responsive. This device on the other hand is running stock version of Android, and it is again kind of snappy and little bit more faster, I would say, as compared to the UI which we have on Canvas Turbo Mini, which is not stock Android, which is a kind of a custom ROM with custom icons and some other themes. But again, this device is also responsive, and there is no lag I have noticed on any of these two devices as far as the UI is concerned. But again, when you load both of these phones with too many applications, both of these phones will lag a bit at times, and in that case you need to optimize the RAM, you need to kill some applications, and you need to optimize the phone to actually handle all those applications which you are running in the background, which are too much in terms of numbers. Taking a look over the hardware configuration on both of these phones, the model number of this one is Micromax A200, and we have ARM V7 processor clocked at 1.3 GHz, quad-core processor it is, and we have ARM V7 processor on this one as well, quad-core processor clocked at 1.19 GHz, basically approximately 1.2 GHz. That is something which we can tell you. And again, when we take a look over the display resolution on both of these phones is HD. It is not full high definition display, but it is a 720p display which we have on both of these phones. You have 720 into 1184, which is the effective display resolution because of these touch capacitive buttons, which actually takes some part of the screen resolution. Whereas on the Canvas Turbo Mini, we have 720 into 1280, which is the effective resolution, which is the full HD effective resolution. And again, this device does not face any problem because of the touch capacitive button, because they're within the body of the phone. When we talk about the GPU which we have on the Motorola Moto G, it is Adreno 305 GPU, whereas this device has Mali 400 MP GPU. And again, we will show you the benchmark score for both of these phones as far as Ninamark is concerned, so that you can compare these phones on the basis of benchmark as well. Let's take a look over the sensors now. So in terms of the sensors, we have accelerometer sensor on this device, proximity, light, 3-axis magnetic field sensor and orientation sensor as well. Whereas on this device we have accelerometer sensor, magnetic field sensor, orientation, proximity, light and display rotation sensor. So you have slightly larger number of sensors on this device, whereas this device is also fairly good in terms of the sensors it should have. Both of these devices are budget devices, so you cannot expect large number of sensors on any of these phones, but both of these phones can be used for GPS navigation. Both of them have magnetic field sensor as well, so GPS navigation works fine perfectly on these two devices with the help of assisted GPS. Now, one thing which is different on both of these phones is that this device has a non-removable battery which is 1800 mAh, whereas this device on the other hand, I would like to correct something, that this device has 1800 mAh battery, whereas this device has 2070 mAh battery, which is higher than the Canvas Turbo Mini. And in terms of the battery backup as well, one thing which I have experienced on both of these phones, I have used both of these phones for more than a week, and this device will give you, the Motorola Moto G will give you more than 1 day of battery backup in most of the cases, whereas the Canvas Turbo Mini will give you around 1 day of battery backup with moderate usage. But if you are a heavy user, or in case you play games a little bit more, then in that case this device will not give you 1 day of battery backup. In comparison, this device, especially on heavy usage with gaming and all, will also give you approximately 1 day of battery backup, barely. But again, this device in comparison with moderate usage, when you don't actually do a lot on the phone, you get much more battery backup on the Motorola Moto G as compared to the Canvas Turbo Mini. So now we have got the quadrant score for both of these devices, and the score which we have got on Motorola Moto G, it is 8885, whereas the score which we have got on Canvas Turbo Mini, it is 5744. So in terms of the benchmark score, as far as quadrant is concerned, this device has scored higher as compared to Canvas Turbo Mini. On Antutu, we have got a score which is kind of very close to each other. We have got a score of 17448 on the Motorola Moto G, whereas we have got a score of 16910 on Canvas Turbo Mini. So again, these devices are fairly close in terms of the overall performance. In day-to-day usage as well, I would like to say both of these phones are equally good in terms of the overall performance, and they will give you the kind of performance you're looking for at this price point which you can get. Now on Ninamark, we have got a score of 57.9 FPS on Motorola Moto G, and then we have got a score of 53.4 FPS. Both of these games in terms of both of these devices in terms of the graphics as well are equally good. Both of them can actually play heavy graphic intensive games as well, but again you will notice slight amount of lag. When it comes to medium graphic intensive games like Frontline Commando D-Day, Modern Combat 4, like heavy games, will run on these two devices provided you can actually install them on the limited storage which we have on this one. But you will have the option of installing the applications and the games as well on the micro SD memory card on this one, so which is an added advantage on the Canvas Turbo Mini which you have. Whereas on the Moto G, you are left with the option of limited storage on which you have to live up with. So this device will give you an additional functionality of inserting a micro SD memory card and expanding the storage, which is not possible on this one. So which will affect in the longer run, but not in the shorter run. But in terms of the gaming performance, if we talk about, both of these phones are equally good in terms of the games they can run. Both of them can run equally intensive graphic games. So both of them are equally good in terms of the gaming when we take them on the comparison. So as you can see here, we have the display of both of these phones in comparison. We have opened the same HD wallpaper on both of these phones with the same resolution, and you can actually compare the display on both of these phones right now. The same image has been opened on both of these phones with different display. Again, the kind of display which we have on Motorola Moto G is an IPS LCD display. On the Canvas Turbo Mini we have an IPS LCD display as well. And again, when it comes to the viewing angles, I would say in terms of the viewing angle, both of these phones are equally good. You can see the display from extreme angles on both of these phones. In terms of the colors, something which is looking better on the device which is the Canvas Turbo Mini, I would say. So colors are looking slightly better, and this device on the other hand also has slightly brighter display as compared to the Motorola Moto G. I don't know whether you can see this difference, but I can easily notice this difference with naked eyes. In the camera it might not look the same way, but I can easily notice that this device has a better display as compared to this device in terms of brightness. In terms of colors, both of them are good, but again I would say in terms of colors, this device is again looking better as compared to this one. And if I actually zoom in, you can see the details. So the amount of details which you can see on this display is actually slightly better, but because you have HD resolution on this device, whereas the complete HD resolution is not applicable on this one because touch capacitive buttons are actually there. But again, as of now, the touch capacitive buttons are just transparent, so the image is actually open in the full screen. So in terms of the overall comparison, one thing I would like to say is that in terms of colors, now here we have both of these phones which has got the same wallpaper, and this is an HD wallpaper which we have downloaded on both of these phones. Again, the file remains the same, and you can actually see the display in comparison. Both of these phones have the display brightness set to full as of now, and you can easily compare the display of these two phones. Both of them has IPS LCD display, so the kind of viewing angles you get on both of them is also pretty good. You can see the display on both of these phones without any issues, without any problem, as you can see. So the display is visible even with wider viewing angles. But one thing I would like to say in comparison, when we compare both of these phones as of now with the same image, this display is slightly better in terms of the brightness, whereas this display is slightly better in terms of the color. So this one is looking better in terms of the colors, whereas this one is looking better in terms of the display brightness, which is slightly higher on this display on the Canvas Turbo Mini as compared to the Motorola Moto G. And again, I don't know whether you can notice the difference, but with naked eyes I can easily notice the difference in between the display of these two phones with the same image which has been opened on both of them. So in all, I would like to conclude this comparison with a conclusion that both of these phones are equally good phones. In terms of the limitations, there are some limitations on the Motorola Moto G on the storage department. Especially in case you buy the 8GB version, you have around 5GB available to the user, whereas on this one, when it comes to the storage, you have 4GB version. So storage is definitely lesser on the Canvas Turbo Mini, but again, even when the storage is higher on the Motorola Moto G, you do not have the option of expanding the storage on Motorola Moto G, whereas you do have the option of expanding the storage on Canvas Turbo Mini, and you can actually install applications and games as well on the micro SD memory card on this phone, whereas you cannot do the same on this device as micro SD memory card slot is actually missing. So this is one department in which the Motorola Moto G is actually having the 8GB storage, out of which around 5GB is approximately available to the user, still lags behind because of no micro SD memory card slot support, whereas on this device, even which has 4GB of internal memory, out of which around 2GB is approximately available to the user, still goes forward. This one still goes forward because this device has support for micro SD memory card slot as compared to the Motorola Moto G. Now if you talk about the display is good on both of these phones, and again, when it comes to the form factor, this device is slightly better in terms of the overall form factor. The camera which you have on the Micromax Canvas Turbo Mini is 8 megapixel, whereas on this one you have 5 megapixel camera. And again, we are going to now compare the camera, which is the last thing which we will compare, and we will show you the quality of the image, and we will take the photo in a kind of a shadow area. so that you can actually compare the cameras on both of the phones, because the camera will perform good for both of the phones with this kind of artificial light which we have. We are going to remove this artificial light and we are going to take a photo of a figure on both of the phones from the rear camera, and you can see the comparison in that photo. So as you can see, we have taken the photo of this action figure from both of these phones in the same kind of lighting scenario. And again, now you can compare the 8 megapixel camera photo on the Canvas Turbo Mini with the 5 megapixel camera photo on the Motorola Moto G. And I would like to say that this photo is slightly better in terms of the brightness. In terms of brightness, it is better. In terms of color reproduction, if you take a look at, you can see both of these images very closely, and you can see the colors are reproduced pretty well on both of these phones, but again they are not exactly the same as the original object is. So this is how you can actually compare these two devices. So you can see that the color is slightly better, I would say, on the Canvas Turbo Mini in terms of reproduction as compared to the Motorola Moto G. When it comes to the amount of details, again these photos are taken with kind of a shadow area, so the kind of details is actually okay on the Canvas Turbo Mini, whereas on Motorola Moto G, if you actually compare both of these phones in terms of the details which you get, details are again better on the Canvas Turbo Mini photo as compared to the Motorola Moto G. So Motorola Moto G actually lose here because Canvas Turbo Mini actually has given a better image, I would say, in comparison as compared to the Moto G, in terms of details, in terms of color production, and in terms of brightness as well. So in all, I would like to conclude this comparison with the point that there are some good points on the Canvas Turbo Mini, there are some good points of the Motorola Moto G as well. And again, both of these phones are equally good at the price they are available. In case you have any specific questions which are still left, if I have not cleared anything about any of the points in between these two devices, I would love to help you. You can leave those questions in the comment section below on this video. You can like this video if this video helped you by clicking the like button below. You can subscribe to our YouTube video channel for more videos like this by clicking the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching this video. This is Abhishek signing off. Thank you.